Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. So this video I've been meaning to do for such a long time because the most questions that I've ever received on both YouTube and Instagram are always about buying handbags or accessories, designer ones, secondhand. So you guys want to know a lot about it. How do I do it? Where do I buy from? How do you know it's authentic? What to look out for? So I am hoping to answer all of those questions in this video. And hopefully by the end of you watching this, you'll be able to go away and feel confident enough to do it yourself and buy a designer handbag secondhand online. So I don't want to ramble too much because I can already feel it might be quite a long video because I have so much to say and so much information and kind of experience to share with you that I kind of just want to get straight into it. And each question that I've been asked, I know is just going to kind of morph into a bigger topic. So before we get into this video, if you want to pause it, go make yourself a drink. I'm just having water. I've already had 2 coffees and an acai bowl and I was absolutely parched after our morning walk. So I'm sipping on water right now, but yeah, get comfy because it might be a long one. So I'm just going to get straight into the questions because from these questions, there's going to be a lot of answers, not just one-word answers. I'm just going to delve into all of my experience. And that's actually something else I wanted to mention. All the information I have is from my personal experience. This is not to say that you're going to have exactly the same outcome as me. There's always risks with buying online. There's always risks with buying designer items. But I'm just also wanting to show you that it's not as scary as you think. And the more you do it, the more confident you get in the things that you know to look out for. So if this is something that you would really like to do and you would love to have a capsule wardrobe and a little bit of a designer collection, then it is so worth giving it a go and trying it out and really getting into it because it's super fun. You do make mistakes along the way. I've so far made a few mistakes here and there on what I've looked out for, but in terms of authenticity, there's only one item that I've ever purchased that was not authentic, and you know, you learn from those situations, but that wasn't online either. That was just me as a rookie looking at it and thinking, yeah, but I didn't know what to look out for. I didn't even know about serial codes. So there's a lot to learn about it all, but yeah, like I said, it's not as scary as you think. And if I can do it, you can do it. So let's just get into the questions. Now, the first one is, how do you know if something is authentic? And guys, this is such a case-by-case basis. It depends on the brand, it depends on the platform that you're shopping on, it really depends on a lot of things. And if you are really not confident about buying something online without that authenticity guarantee, just go through websites like Vestiaire Collective, or there's The Real Real. I know that we don't have it in Australia and I'm so jealous, but I'm pretty sure over in Europe and the UK they have an app called Vinted, and I have spoken with a number of girls. Rebecca is one of them. Hey Rebecca, I talk to her all the time. I think she lives in Amsterdam, and she picked up the most beautiful epi leather Noe at such a good price in the best condition I think I've ever seen through Vinted. But basically, if I was to simplify it for you, you can go through verified authentic sellers like Vestiaire Collective, The Real Real. I'll try and find a bunch of them for you and link them down below, and I'll say authenticated sellers. But again, because you get that authenticity guarantee and there's not as much risk involved with it, you do tend to you don't get as many bargains. Like a lot of the bargains that people have been like, how the hell did you get it for that price? There was a bit more risk involved. So the one I buy from most is obviously eBay. The second I've bought off a few times is Depop. And then thirdly, I've bought 1 or 2 items from Facebook Marketplace. Now, when I buy off both Depop and Facebook Marketplace, I generally buy items that have some kind of receipt. I'll ask the person, do you have any kind of proof of purchase? For instance, I bought the Gucci Dionysus Super Mini. I think I paid about 800 Australian dollars for that, but it came with the receipt. It said exactly what store it was from and everything. So that's obviously the best case scenario, is if they have a hard copy receipt. Other times I've said, do you have any kind of proof of authenticity? And they will have an email from the brand with the order confirmation, you know, through, one was from Saint Laurent, so they said, had the actual screenshot with the serial number and everything. So that was proof of authenticity. But the ones that haven't, it's just a matter of doing a little bit of your own research. And that, okay, so I'm going to give you an example. There was a Gucci Soho disco bag. She had it up for $500. It looked in pretty good condition. I mean, inside there was a few little marks, but she just, the pictures were so basic. It was just hanging on a hat rack amongst a bunch of other designer bags. And she sort of took the photos really quick, and it had just pictures of the bag. It had a picture of the serial number inside, but there was no proof of authenticity. There were no receipts, anything like that. So, but I really wanted this bag, and it was at such a good price that it was worth it for me to do a little bit more digging and ask a lot of questions. So I basically said to the girl, do you have any way to prove that this is authentic? And she's like, I'm sorry, you know, my parents bought it for me. It was years ago. I cannot find the receipt. Things like that. And I was like, okay. But I looked at her other items that she had listed, and she had about 3 other designer items listed, but all of those items had receipts. So I kind of just, so once I was like, okay, this person in general, she has obviously a bit of a designer collection. I highly doubt that she would have multiple authentic designer items and then just an off the hand, just a fake. The other thing I looked up was signs to look out for on a Gucci Soho disco bag. I watched probably 5 different videos, read about 3 different blog posts, the stitching to look out for, things to look out for on the hardware. One of the little notches on the hardware should have had like a little part for like a flathead screwdriver, so then it can be undone. That was a dead giveaway. The way the GG logo was, and I asked her, can you please send me a photo close-up of the stitching, the inside of the bag? Can you send me a close-up of the hardware, every little like notch on the hardware? And I got her to send through everything. And when I did all of my checks through Google blogs and watching videos, everything was lining up for it to be authentic. So it was kind of an accumulation of information. It was, she has a lot of other designer items. She's still selling it for $500. She also was very confident. She wasn't like, oh, I can, you know, I can show you this. She was kind of like, oh, yeah, sorry, I don't have that. I don't have the receipt. Because she knew it was authentic. So she knew that if I wasn't going to buy it, someone else would. So, and it was only $500, guys. These bags I could not ever find for under like $1,000. So for me, it was almost worth that risk. So once I did all of my checks, that was probably the longest check I've ever done on any designer purchase. I purchased the bag, and when I received it, I took a bunch of photos and sent them through to Bagaholic. That's another thing. Bagaholic 101. You can send them a bunch of photos on Facebook Messenger, and you have to transfer them $5 through PayPal. If you are so unsure about the authenticity, you can technically get it authenticated before you have the item, so long as you have enough images. So you can get the seller, but you've got to be quick, because if it's at a really good price, it could be gone. But if you can get the seller to send you about 10, 15 detailed close-up photos, you can get them. You can send them all through to Bagaholic, send them a screenshot of your proof of payment to Bagaholic for $5, and they can tell you, they do it like within the hour, whether or not they believe it's authentic. Now, Bagaholic 101 is a verified, authenticated, they're quite well known in the designer world, like a lot of reseller sites and stuff, like authenticated by Bagaholic 101. Like everyone knows them, everyone uses them. So they're a well-trusted authenticator. So you can always do that. And a lot of people don't know that that exists. So basically, back to the story. I was like, you know what? Everything's looking good. I'm pretty happy. I have this gut feeling that it's real. I'm gonna do it. I've been looking for this bag for ages. I really, really want it. And for me personally, I feel as though it's authentic. So I sent her the $500 via PayPal. I do every single designer transaction, or even online transaction for that matter, through PayPal because it's safe. There's a lot of checks with it. If you accidentally send money and you realize that there's an issue, you've kind of got a little bit of a safety net there by using PayPal. So I always use PayPal. So I sent her the $500 and that was it. And I gave her my address and she sent me the bag. The one thing I didn't do is say to her, I will pay extra postage if you can please insure the bag you can insure bags up to however much. I think it's $2 like every $100 that you want to insure it for. I will pay extra to insure the bag, have tracking on it, and please sign on arrival. So if I am not home and the bag is delivered, they take it to a local post office, because that Gucci bag got delivered to my next door neighbor's house and they weren't home until, you know, for at least 24, 48 hours. And I was freaking out. I was checking the tracking. Tracking isn't enough. I was checking the tracking and it's like, it's arrived, it's delivered. I was calling Australia Post. They're basically like, too bad, so sad. They do literally nothing and it's all up to you. So I'm really glad that situation happened, because my neighbor actually ended up coming around and say, hey, I've received this parcel, it's yours. Thank God. And it was all good. But what I learned from that situation is if you are buying anything designer online, you are much better off saying, can you please have it insured and sign upon delivery. It can be annoying when you're not home and you've got to finish work and they're like, we've taken it to the post office and you've got to do all that, but it's so worth it. So yeah, that is my other tip when you're getting something posted to you. So anyway, when the handbag arrived, I was very quick. I took a bunch of photos of it, close-ups, sent it through to Bagaholic 101. They came back and said, yes, it's authentic. And I was like, oh my God, thank God. And then that kind of got the ball rolling for me. I was just obsessed with the whole process. I love the thrill of it. I love getting a bargain. It's so fun to me. So back to the original question, how do you ensure it's authentic? So yeah, basically doing your own checks. Look up the particular bag on YouTube. If you're looking for a Pochette accessories, look up Louis Vuitton Pochette accessories, how to know whether it's real or fake. There are so many videos on pretty much every single designer handbag you can think of and you can look out for. And you're basically doing your own authentication. That is one way. Again, another one, get them to send through a bunch of detailed photos and then send them all through to Bagaholic 101 and they'll authenticate it for you. So that is so good. And it honestly takes a lot of the guesswork out of it, especially if you're worried about whether or not it's authentic or not. Now, when it comes to eBay, eBay has just brought out the verified seller blue tick. So if you come across an eBay seller or a Japanese seller that has that, you are guaranteed authenticity. I'm not sure how a seller earns that blue tick, but I'm sure there's a bunch of checks that they have to go through. But the sellers that I've bought through don't actually have that blue tick, but they have this big spiel, you know, we are authentic, we only do genuine, blah, blah, blah. And some people can look at that and go, yeah, well, you could just be saying that. But the other thing is, from a business perspective, there are reviews done. Every time you buy an item, you have the opportunity to review the seller. Now, as a seller who sells, I'm pretty sure this, you know, most sellers sell hundreds of thousands of items every year. They do not want bad reviews. If they have one person saying, I've received something that is not authentic, can you imagine how bad that is for their reputation and their business? So I guess in that way, it's a little bit of common sense. Like from a business perspective, they don't want to be seen doing that because reviews are everything in the online world. You do not want a bad review. Second of all, the only way that I have verified that a lot of the sellers I buy from are authentic is because I've actually purchased from them and I've had the items authenticated. So I think I've probably bought 10 to 15 eBay designer items now, and every single one I have had authenticated and not one has come back not authentic. That to me is my double check. Not only are they saying that they're authentic, but I have had them authenticated. So now I'm a valued, trusted customer of theirs. Like, I trust them, I think that they are authentic, and I will buy off them now without hesitation. Do all your own checks, do all your own research. There's no real easy way about it. If you don't want to do your own research and do all the checks, then go through a verified seller. If you're wanting to take the risk and get a really good bargain, then you're going to have to do your own research. And the only way to do that is just Google. Just Google things to look out for, stitching on Gucci bags, blah, 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 you know? So I think in conclusion, if you are very unsure on whether or not something is authenticated, either go through a verified seller, but if you want to take the risk and you want to get a bargain, Bagaholic 101 is your best friend. Find them on Facebook now, add them or follow their page or whatever, and have their PayPal details saved in your PayPal account, and get ready to send them through some photos because they will be able to authenticate things for you. Okay, so then my next question is from Mia, and she says, what signs of distress would turn you off a purchase and how to guarantee authenticity? So I just answered the guarantee authenticity question, but in terms of what signs of distress would turn you off. Now, this is a huge topic that I absolutely love, and you would only know through experience. What are the signs of wear that are deal breakers and what are not? The signs of deal breakers for me are zips being warped. I'll insert a photo. I spoke about this in a previous Louis Vuitton handbag unboxing video. When a zip is warped, there's not much you can do about it. And I'm pretty sure you might be able to get it replaced, but sometimes you get the bag for such a bargain that would it even be worth it? And that's the other thing with these bags. When you're buying secondhand and you're trying to get a bargain, the last thing you want to do is spend more money on repairs, because then the whole thing wasn't worth it in the first place. So zips, deal breaker. Check that the zip is good. That would be my first thing. If there's zips on it and it's a main zip, if it's an internal zip and you're not too worried about it, it's up to you. It might be fine. You might not even use that area, so you can have a dodgy zip. But in terms of like a pochette or anything where there's a big zip, any sort of warping in the zip, you don't want that. The second one that I had experience with was the canvas being creased. This is something I didn't even realize. I was just waiting for my Speedy to kind of pop out, but there was always these sort of lines in it, kind of like that. And they were like permanent creases that never came out of the canvas. The other thing in Gucci, vintage Gucci bags you really need to look out for, and vintage Louis Vuitton bags. So vintage Gucci ones have disintegrating inside. So it's like a velvety kind of, or suede interior. And I've purchased a Gucci bag before where it was dusty, and it's because the inside was completely disintegrating. Now, it was able to fix it because I looked it up on YouTube and it was a fixable thing. I wouldn't say it's a deal breaker because you can fix it, and a lot of the vintage Gucci bags have it. So it's kind of like you're not going to find another vintage Gucci bag in the same style that probably won't have it, because if that one did it, you know, chances are this other one, if it doesn't have it already, it will do that over time, because it's obviously the type of material that was used. So with that one, I pulled the insert out and gave it a really good scrub with just like water and a little bit of soap. And I think it was baby soap, so it was very gentle, but I scrubbed it out, and it became like, rather than a suede kind of feel, it turned into like a furry kind of feel, but there was no more disintegrating. So it worked, but it was a lot of work. So it depends on what you're willing to work with. Have fun with it. There are so many ways you can fix things. And I guess just before you go to purchase something, Google it. What is the issue that the bag has? Google it and have a look at how you may be able to fix it. When it comes to Louis Vuitton straps, you can get so many beautiful straps, like proper leather straps for Louis Vuitton bags on Etsy. So if you're happy to not have a genuine Louis Vuitton strap, but you just want it to be like a leather one. So for example, I bought my sister a pochette accessoire. I'll link the video below. I did a big unboxing on it. Everything was perfect. It's just that the little strap was just, you know, old, and it was a vintage bag, so obviously it had been used. It was still usable, but just, you know, it was kind of like you'd have to be a little more careful with it. And I bought her one of these crossbody straps. You can get them in all different lengths. The only difference is this part here doesn't have Louis Vuitton on it. So if you are happy to have a non-genuine strap, then, you know, the strap isn't going to be a deal breaker if there's something wrong with it. Just as long as you can detach it, which I'm pretty sure on most Louis Vuitton bags you can detach the strap, then that for me isn't a deal breaker, the strap. Now another one is the canvas on, say, a Louis Vuitton. I've had a Speedy from the 1980s. It was absolutely beautiful, so well made, but the canvas had faded, and that's something I never really looked out for until I had one, and I was like, wow, that LV is really faint. So you want it to be quite prominent and quite bright, because that can be a bit of a giveaway. I mean, we all love vintage bags, we think they're beautiful, but you also don't want it to look too old and worn out kind of thing. So the other thing is to be mindful of, with a lot of Louis Vuitton, you can polish up the hardware to make it really gold again. I've purchased Gucci bags and Celine bucket bags, and that hardware you can't polish up. So I had a beautiful Celine bucket bag. One of the buckles was quite gold and the other one had gone almost silver because of the tarnishing. You can't polish that up. So they're kind of deal breakers for me, but that's just the nature of that kind of hardware. Cracking in leather is a huge one, because once it starts to crack, it kind of happens quite quickly and it's very hard to kind of rectify. So if you're buying a Louis Vuitton or a Celine or anything bag that has leather and there's a lot of cracking in the strap, it really depends on how much there is and where it is located on the bag. Scuff marks on leather aren't a deal breaker for me, because they're not really ruining the bag. It's more things where it might actually, if it breaks, then the whole bag, you can't use it. So to summarize that question, the deal breakers for me are the things that I cannot fix myself. I cannot fix a zip, I cannot fix fading canvas, and I cannot fix cracks in leather. But the things I can technically fix, and the things that I might work with, are cracks in the strap, that I can get a potentially replaceable strap. The disintegrating interior, it really depends on what brand it is and how I may be able to deal with it, but I have fixed it before and it didn't take too long and it was so worth it. And that's about it. And obviously with Louis Vuitton, if it's super tarnished hardware, I know I can polish it up, so that doesn't bother me. And I am happy with scuffs, like, you know, scuff marks on the base of like a Louis Vuitton bag. One, you don't see it as much, and two, if it's just slight scuffs, it's more of a visual thing, but if the usability is fine and it's not going to break, then that's okay with me. So the next question is how to clean a designer bag after buying it, and what products do you use to maintain the bag? So what I firstly do when I receive a bag generally is I use the baby water wipes. So just baby wipes, because they're just watery wipes. There's no chemicals or anything in it, and they're super sensitive. I mean, they're meant for babies. So I usually give canvas or leather a wipe down. With leather, you want to be careful. You don't want to make it too wet, because especially with Louis Vuitton, you might create watermarks, but it's very unlikely if you're kind of just giving it a wipe over. So I generally like to use baby wipes, and I love to have them on hand. So when my sister got her first designer bag, I basically said to her, these are the items that you need for your little handbag maintenance kit. You need baby wipes, Brasso with a microfiber cloth, and you need some leather conditioner. Now the leather conditioner I use, I haven't gone to the shops and had a good look, sorry, I probably should have looked into this a little more, but I actually just use a leather conditioner that came with a pair of leather boots that I have. It's not colored in any way. It is like a creamy kind of gel sort of texture, and it's clear, and I just use that on the leather parts of my bags. Now there are probably so many more in-depth and better videos to watch on YouTube in terms of the care and maintenance of a bag, but these are the things that I use. So I use a clear leather conditioner. In terms of cleaning the bag, I just use baby wipes. And then in terms of polishing up brass hardware, I just use Brasso and a microfiber cloth. Now the other thing is, if you have some stubborn stains, I haven't ever had that before. I've never had stubborn stains on canvas or leather, so I'm not quite sure, and any kind of marks that I have had have come out by using a baby wipe. So maybe if you've got some more stubborn stains inside or on the exterior, maybe search that on YouTube and see if anyone else has any more tips. With everything I've done, there's always risk involved, and I've learnt from every situation. You don't want to get leather wet. Don't get leather wet. It warps, and and there's no coming back from it. So with the baby water wipes, don't do anything too much. I mean, you can give things a good wipe down, but you don't want to, wet it. So they're my tips for cleaning and what I like to use: baby wipes, bra soap, and leather conditioner. So the next question is key to competitive offers, getting the best for your dollars, and what your research phase entails. So that's kind of like a few questions. So competitive offers. The bidding process on eBay, I do not bid until last minute, because the more I bid, the more I'm adding to the price that I potentially, if I won the bid, I'm paying. So for me, what I do is I go have a look at the eBay sellers, and I'll like or add to watch list any bags that I am interested in, and then any that I'm super interested in that I actually want to buy, I will set an alarm for an hour before the bidding ends. Being on eBay, if you are at 30 seconds left and the price is at $25, do not type in $30. You, a lot of the time, unfortunately, will not get the bid. So the way eBay bidding works is when you put in a price, you put in you don't put in the next price you're willing to pay. You put in your max price that you're willing to pay. So if I look at a bag and it's, say, $250 and there's 2 minutes left on it, if I'm going to put in a price and bid it right at that moment, what is the max I'm willing to pay? Say I'm willing to pay $450. And then I imagine to myself, what if it went for $455? Would I be really pissed off? Okay, maybe I'll put in $470. But the moment it hits over $470, for me, it's not a bargain. So you have to really put in, what is your max price that you are willing to pay? And obviously it comes with practice, but you put in your max bid and eBay will automatically bid for you up until that point, and it will stop if it goes over that mark. So one thing that you need to keep in mind is everyone's putting their max bid in. So if you wait till the last 30 seconds and the item is at $200 and you put in $210, the other people might have a max bid in of $250. So already that's going to go through, and then it's going to be like, it'll wait for a minute to process, and then it'll process and it'll come back and it'll say you've been outbid, and you'll be like, what the hell? How did someone bid so quickly? It's like, no, their max bid was at $250. So eBay automatically bid you straight out. So you need to put in your max bid. And the reason why I wait till the last minute is because I still technically have time to up my bid if I get outbid. And guys, this is quick. Like, my heart is racing. It's a full blown thing. It's like you're in an auction and you're going for it. So it's such a vibe. I absolutely love it. But I will wait until the last 30 seconds and I'll go, boom, I'm willing to pay $550. And guys, I will wait until that last minute. You're trying to wait until you're only giving enough time that no one else can input anything else. And I'll put in my max bid. Now, if I get outbid straight away, you know what I think? Well, that was my max bid. I wasn't willing to pay any more than that. And so, so be it. They got it. But if I get it, how good is it that I waited till that last minute? Because there could be plenty of other people waiting till that last 30 seconds who were actually willing to pay more. But if I had a bid any earlier and put in my max bid, they would have had time to bid on top of that. So the price just goes up for no reason. So yeah, if you can, when it comes to bidding on eBay, wait until the last minute. If you're bidding for the first time ever, let yourself have at least a minute or even 2 minutes. But as you become a little more experienced and you understand your phone and how long it takes things to load, and you kind of get used to how your bidding works and you get used to it, you can cut the time shorter and shorter. And now pretty much almost every bid, the last probably 3 bids I've actually bid, I've won. So it does come with experience, but like I said, you're not going to, 9 times out of 10, if something is $250 and you put in last minute $255, you're probably not going to get it, because the person who's willing to pay $250 is generally willing to pay $350, so they've already put that in as their max bid. So I hope that gives you guys a little bit of an answer on how to bid. It takes practice. Have fun with it, and just remember, if you miss out on a bid, it's not the end of the world, because the best part is, especially with Japanese sellers, they're uploading new items every couple of days, and it's fun. It's like a mystery box. Every single time I go online, I'm like, ooh, what have they uploaded today? And it's not just like 1 or 2 items. They usually upload hundreds at a time. So I'll leave below some of the sellers, because the next question is, which sellers do you buy from? So I'm going to leave a list below of the main sellers that I buy from. That way you can go straight to them. Now, these aren't verified sellers, so do it at your own risk. But all I can say is I have purchased off these sellers before, and the items have been authentic. So do with that what you will, but at your own risk. So that would kind of be my answer to key to competitive offers, because with bidding, you just want to do it last minute. And then in terms of offers with like an individual seller, I guess you always lowball it and hope that they take it. Don't be scared. You're not going to meet these people in person. It's online, so just be a bit crazy. And then if they don't take it, they don't take it, and you can up it. But also, if you're only willing to pay a certain price, basically say that, stay stern with it, and you never know. Like, if you're not needing the item right now, but you're only willing to pay for a bag, you know, let's say for instance $600, and the seller goes, no, I can't sell it for $600, it's worth $900. Just say, okay, no worries. You leave it. It might take a week. You never know. They could come back after a week and think, shh, I really need that money. I've actually had no other offers. I'm going to message that person and say, yeah. Or you can always check back after a couple of weeks. Hey, are you still willing to take this price? I see that it's still online, because I've actually been on the other end of that. I've had times where I jump online and I'm like, speedy for sale, $900, no bites, nothing. And I'm like, okay. And then someone will message me and be like, I'll give you $500. And I'm like, no way, are you kidding? Like, go somewhere else, that's so cheap. And then months pass and I'm like, hey, you know how you wanted to pay $500? Yeah, look, that's actually okay. And they'll be like, oh, actually, maybe $300. And you're like, okay, yeah, no, get stuffed. Buying designer items is not a quick thing. It's a process. And if you really want it in your collection, you're willing to wait, you're willing to be patient, especially if you want to bargain. So that's my key to competitive offers and bidding and what prices to pay and stuff. Now, the other question was getting the most for your dollars. You know, for me personally, I don't like to spend a lot on designer handbags. Like, it really depends on what it is. If it's a work bag and I know I'm going to use it a lot and I know it's in pristine condition, I am willing to pay a decent price. But I've never paid more than $1,000 for any handbags that I own. It's just not in my budget. The other thing is, if you want to kind of get a gauge on prices and what people are selling things for, go and watch a few items on eBay and go, even if you're not wanting to buy it, you know, like all these items that you are willing to or you want on your wish list, wait until the bidding's over and then they'll still be in your ended list. So you can go back and see what they sold for. So after you get a kind of a gist of what they're selling for, if the next time you see one and it's going for way more, you're like, no, I'm not paying that because I saw one last week go for this price. So I know that they can go for that price. So that's a really good way to kind of get a bit of a gauge on what things are selling for. I know I'm saying eBay a lot. I don't know if on these websites, these verified websites, you can go back and see what's sold. So you can kind of get a gauge on what things are going for. Now, when it comes to what does your research phase entail, it really depends on the item. But I always do a little bit of research before buying anything. I'll do a bit of research on the item. I'll see what secondhand items. I always jump on Vestiaire Collective and type in an item and see what they're kind of selling for secondhand on there. If you're buying a secondhand bag and it's vintage and you think, wow, that's beautiful, that's $900, I would absolutely love that. You don't want to be on eBay bidding, freaking out and go, oh, I won the bid, $800. And then you go on Vestiaire Collective and there's the same bag selling for $600. Like, you always want to do that kind of research before you jump on. You don't want to get in the hype of things. So before you buy every bag, definitely look across a couple of websites, do a little bit of research before you buy it. Again, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to message me. I mean, I'm no expert, but I'd be happy to help. I love talking about it and I talk to people about it all the time. So don't be scared to get my opinion on something if you want. So guys, I'm just looking through all the questions and they're pretty much all the same. I honestly think I've covered everything. But again, if you have any additional questions, please just leave them in the comments below and I'll get back to you. And if you guys, or have a look in the comments and see if anyone's asked the same question and I may have answered it. Message me on Instagram. Let's do this. Let's get you some secondhand bargains, because guys, the bargains aren't going to be around forever because everyone's cracking onto it. If you're thinking to yourself, I might start buying secondhand, guess what? A majority of people are thinking the same thing. So you want to get in before them. The prices are going through the roof, and I'm not talking in a matter of years. Within months, that bag is no longer available for that price and you just can't get it at that price anymore. So have fun with it. Get buying. It's a full hobby. It's so fun. and you can do it. So if you like this video and you got any tips from it, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel because I upload every single week and more videos like this will be coming. And yeah, definitely join this little YouTube community that I'm slowly building and loving. So yeah, thanks guys, and I'll see you in my next video.